Hello everyone, and welcome to my YNR CBS Spoiler Today channel. Please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Abbott mansion has survived decades of betrayals, marriages, funerals, corporate wars, and family secrets, but on this particular afternoon, the silence inside the living room feels different, almost as though the house itself knows that Billy Abbott is about to say something that could change the family forever. Ashley Abbott arrives first, immediately noticing the serious expression on Billy's face and the thick legal envelope resting on the coffee table. Traci follows only minutes later, her warmth turning to concern when she realizes Jack is not there and Billy has apparently asked to speak with the two of them alone. "Billy, what's going on?" Traci asks softly, studying her brother as he stands near the fireplace with one hand in his pocket and the other gripping a folded document. Billy tries to make a joke, the kind of humor he always uses when he is frightened or uncomfortable, but neither sister smiles. Ashley crosses her arms and tells him to stop avoiding the question. After everything happening around Chancellor, the Abbott legacy, and Billy's increasingly dangerous obsession with proving that he deserves a place at the top, Ashley assumes this is another business announcement. Perhaps Billy wants their support against Jack, perhaps he has discovered another document connected to John Abbott, or perhaps he has finally decided to walk away from the corporate battle before it destroys him. But Billy looks at them and quietly says, "This isn't about what happens to me next week. It's about what happens if I'm not here." Traci's expression instantly changes. "Don't say that," she whispers. Billy tells her he is not planning to disappear and he is not announcing that he is sick, but the recent chaos has forced him to think about the future. He has spent too much of his life behaving as though tomorrow is guaranteed. He has made reckless decisions, survived situations that could have ended very differently, hurt people he loved, lost people he never thought he could live without, and repeatedly convinced himself that there would always be time to repair the damage later. Now he wants something settled while he is still capable of making the decision himself. Billy places the document on the table and says, "That is my last will and testament." Ashley stares at him as if she has misheard. Traci looks from Billy to the document and back again. "Why are you showing us this?" Ashley demands. Billy admits that most of the will is ordinary, trusts for his children, protections for their futures, instructions regarding his personal assets, and arrangements he should have made years ago. But there is one section concerning his Abbott holdings, his interest in Chancellor, and something their father left behind that nobody knew existed. That is why he wanted Ashley and Traci there. Ashley sits down slowly. "What did Dad leave behind?" she asks. Billy does not answer immediately. Instead, he reaches into the envelope and removes a second item, an older sheet of paper protected inside a transparent sleeve. The moment Ashley sees John Abbott's familiar signature at the bottom, her confidence disappears. Traci rises from the sofa and moves closer. Billy explains that while examining old Abbott and Chancellor records, he found a private memorandum written by John years ago. It was never formally attached to John's will, and legally it may have little power, but emotionally it changes the way Billy understands almost everything their father wanted for his children. The letter was not about money. It was about responsibility. John had apparently feared that the Abbott children would one day become so consumed by power, resentment, and competition that Jabot itself could become the thing that destroyed their relationships. In the letter, John wrote that the company was supposed to provide security for the family, not become a prize that turned brother against sister. Billy's voice tightens as he explains that John specifically mentioned Jack, Ashley, Traci, and Billy. He admired Jack's leadership but worried about his need to carry every burden alone. He admired Ashley's brilliance but feared that she would spend her life believing she constantly had to prove she belonged at the table. He described Traci as the emotional center of the family, the one child who understood that being an Abbott was about more than a board seat. Then came the sentence that Billy says he could barely read the first time he saw it. John worried most about Billy. Not because Billy lacked talent, but because John feared his youngest son would spend his entire life trying to earn a place in a family where he had already belonged from the moment John held him. Traci's eyes fill with tears. Ashley looks away. Billy admits that reading those words shattered him because so many of his worst choices came from exactly that insecurity. Every time he chased a victory over Jack, every time he gambled too much on a company, every time he turned a business fight into a personal crusade, part of him was still trying to hear John say, "You are enough." Billy believed becoming the man who controlled Chancellor might finally silence that voice inside him. Instead, the discovery of John's letter made him realize he had been using their father's memory as another weapon. Ashley asks what any of this has to do with Billy's will. Billy takes a breath and turns to the page that stunned even his attorney when he dictated it. If Billy dies while holding any ownership, financial interest, or legal claim connected to Chancellor Industries, those rights will not automatically go to the person everyone expects. They will not go to Jack. They will not become part of a corporate bidding war. They will not be handed directly to his children, who Billy refuses to burden with a battle that has already consumed too many adults. Instead, Billy has placed those interests into a protected family trust, and the two people named to control that trust are Ashley and Traci Abbott. Ashley immediately stands. "You did what?" Billy calmly repeats it. Ashley and Traci together will become the trustees of anything connected to the Chancellor claim, and neither can make a major decision without the other. Ashley is stunned because Billy knows she has spent years distancing herself from some of the Abbott corporate battles. Traci is even more shocked because she has never wanted corporate power at all. "Billy, I'm a writer," Traci says. "I don't want to run Chancellor." Billy tells her that is exactly why he chose her. He does not want someone who is desperate to control the company. He wants someone who will ask whether controlling it is worth destroying the family. Ashley has the business intelligence to understand every contract and every boardroom maneuver, while Traci has the judgment to recognize when winning becomes more dangerous than losing. Together, Billy believes they represent the balance John always wanted. But Ashley is not touched yet. She is angry. She tells Billy this sounds less like estate planning and more like another one of his grand gestures, another attempt to control the family after he is gone. Billy accepts the criticism. He says maybe part of him does want control, but the next clause proves he is serious about something larger. Ashley turns the page and freezes. If Ashley and Traci determine that Billy's Chancellor claim would harm the Abbott family, they are authorized to surrender it completely. No lawsuit. No revenge. No last battle fought in Billy's name. They can walk away. Traci covers her mouth. Ashley looks at Billy in disbelief. After weeks of Billy talking as if Chancellor is his destiny, he has legally given his sisters permission to destroy his own claim. "This can't be true," Ashley says. Billy responds, "It is." That is when Traci realizes the will is not really about money. It is Billy's confession. He is acknowledging that he does not completely trust the version of himself who becomes obsessed with proving he has won. He is creating a safeguard against his own worst instincts. Billy says he knows people may call it weakness, but he sees it differently now. "Dad spent his life building something," Billy tells them. "I've spent too much of mine trying to prove I could take something." Traci begins crying openly. She tells Billy their father would have understood exactly what he is trying to do. Ashley remains quiet, but the anger in her eyes slowly softens. Then Billy reveals there is one more thing. The room becomes tense again when he produces a sealed envelope marked with John Abbott's initials. He explains that it was found with the memorandum, and he deliberately did not open it alone. Written on the front are instructions indicating it was meant to be read only if the Abbott children reached a point where the business threatened to divide them permanently. Ashley almost laughs bitterly. "Well, I'd say we qualified years ago." Billy hands the envelope to Traci because he believes John would have wanted her to read it. Her hands tremble as she opens it. The letter inside is brief, but its message hits the three siblings harder than any legal document could. John admits that his greatest regret was allowing the Abbott name to become associated with expectations his children could never completely satisfy. He says Jack should never believe leadership is the same as love. Ashley should never believe achievement determines her place in the family. Traci should never mistake kindness for weakness. And Billy should never believe the mistakes of his life can erase the fact that he is his son. There is no shocking paternity revelation, no hidden fortune, no secret heir waiting to take everything away. The family secret is more painful because it is emotional. John knew exactly how broken each of his children could become, and he knew their greatest danger would not come from an outsider like Victor Newman or a corporate rival. It would come from their inability to believe they were loved without earning it. Ashley cannot hold back anymore. She sits beside Traci, tears gathering in her eyes as Traci finishes reading. Billy turns away because hearing the words aloud is harder than discovering them on paper. For years Billy has believed John would be disappointed by the man he became. Now he has evidence that their father understood the battle Billy would spend his entire life fighting. Traci stands, crosses the room, and embraces him. Billy resists for only a second before holding his sister tightly. Ashley watches them, visibly shaken. She finally asks the question Billy has feared. Why us? Why not Jack? Billy says Jack is not being punished. His children are not being punished. Jack will receive copies of everything eventually. But Billy needed Ashley and Traci to hear it first because Jack and Billy have spent too much of their relationship measuring themselves against one another. If Jack controlled Billy's final business decision, the entire family would wonder whether it was another victory in their lifelong rivalry. Billy refuses to make his death the final round of a competition with his brother. Ashley understands immediately. You don't want Jack to inherit your war. Billy nods. That simple sentence captures everything. Billy does not want Johnny, Katie, Jack, Ashley, Traci, or anyone else inheriting his unfinished anger. He wants the people he loves to inherit what remains after the anger is removed. Ashley asks whether Billy is preparing for something he has not told them. Billy insists there is no diagnosis, no secret threat, and no plan to disappear. But Ashley knows him too well. She asks whether the pressure surrounding Chancellor has become dangerous. Billy admits there are people with enormous stakes in the outcome, and he has begun considering the possibility that the situation could escalate. He refuses to name anyone or accuse anyone without evidence, but he says he would rather prepare now than leave chaos behind later. Traci tells him preparation is one thing, but talking as though he may not survive the fight is another. Maybe the answer isn't writing a better will, she says. Maybe the answer is choosing a better
supported
life.
me. You never helped me, and then just like that, you hand it right back to Victor.
Ashley agrees. She tells Billy the most meaningful thing he could leave his children is not a company, trust, or fortune. It is years with their father. If Chancellor is turning him into someone who expects disaster, perhaps John's letter is not encouraging him to create an elegant exit strategy. Perhaps it is telling him to stop before the price becomes unbearable. Billy looks toward the portrait of John Abbott. For once, he does not have a clever answer. Meanwhile, the emotional shock becomes even more complicated when the front door opens and Jack walks into the mansion unexpectedly. He immediately notices Ashley's red eyes, Traci holding John's letter, and Billy standing beside a legal document. What happened? Jack asks. Nobody answers. Jack's gaze falls on the first page of Billy's will, and his expression hardens. Billy? Billy takes the document before Jack can read it and says they need to talk, but not yet. Jack feels excluded and asks why Ashley and Traci apparently know something about their father that he does not. The old tension between the brothers begins rising instantly, exactly the kind of tension John warned about. Ashley steps between them and says this is not another fight. Jack replies that it certainly feels like one if Billy is keeping secrets about John. Traci surprises everyone by raising her voice. Stop. The room goes silent because Traci rarely speaks with such force. She tells both brothers that they have spent too many years turning every disagreement into a question of who John loved more, who deserves Jabot more, who failed the family more, and who should lead. She refuses to let John's final private words become another weapon. Jack looks stunned. Billy looks ashamed. Traci tells Jack he will read the letter, but only after he promises to read it as a son, not as a CEO. Jack reluctantly agrees. As Jack takes the letter, Billy reveals the part of the will that concerns him directly. Billy has left Jack something completely unexpected, not his business interests, not his chancellor claim, but his personal collection of John's letters, photographs, recordings, and private family memories. Jack's eyes fill as Billy explains why. "You spent your whole life protecting Dad's company," Billy says. "Maybe I wanted to leave you the part of Dad that wasn't a company." Jack cannot speak. Ashley turns away to hide her tears. Traci smiles sadly. In that moment, the legal document that originally sounded like another explosive Abbott inheritance story becomes something far deeper. Billy has divided his legacy according to what he believes each sibling truly needs. Ashley receives responsibility because Billy trusts her intelligence. Traci receives authority because Billy trusts her heart. Jack receives John's personal memories because Billy finally understands that behind Jack's obsession with protecting the Abbott legacy is a son still desperately trying to stay connected to his father. Billy's children receive protected financial trusts, but his instructions insist they must never be pressured to enter the family business. "Let them choose who they want to become," Billy wrote. "Don't make them prove they are Abbotts." Those words finally break Jack. He asks Billy whether he really believes things between them have become so damaged that he needed to put all this on paper. Billy responds that the will is not proof he has given up on the family. It is proof he finally understands how much damage unfinished business can create after someone is gone. Billy wants to settle his heart while he still has time to change his life. Jack quietly tells him, "Then change it." Billy looks confused. Jack points to the will and says, "Not the document. Your life." Ashley nods. Traci takes Billy's hand. For once, all 4 Abbott siblings are standing in the same room without discussing stock percentages, lawsuits, corporate control, Victor Newman, Jabot, or Chancellor. They are simply John Abbott's children. Yet this is the young and the restless, and peace inside the Abbott family rarely lasts long. Before the conversation ends, Ashley notices something written in tiny print at the bottom of John's memorandum, a reference to a second document stored years earlier with an old Abbott attorney. The document number matches neither the records Billy discovered nor anything currently inside the family archives. Ashley points it out, and Billy's expression changes immediately. Jack asks what it means. Billy says he has no idea. Traci warns them not to turn the moment into another investigation, but Ashley's instincts are already working. Why would John reference another confidential document? Why was it separated from the letter? And why was the attorney instructed never to release it unless all 4 Abbott children were together? Billy slowly looks at Jack, then Ashley, then Traci. Just when they thought John's final message had answered the questions that haunted their family, it may have opened a new mystery. Was the missing document connected to Jabot ownership? Chancellor? An old family trust? Or something far more personal that John never had the courage to reveal? Billy's will may have been intended to bring the Abbotts together, but the forgotten reference could send them racing toward another secret hidden in their father's past. Ashley insists they find the attorney's records immediately. Jack agrees. Traci hesitates, fearing they are already forgetting the lesson John's letter was supposed to teach them. Billy, however, stares at the mysterious number and says quietly, "Whatever Dad hid, we find it together this time." And as the Abbott siblings exchange uneasy looks, one thing becomes clear: Billy's shocking last will has not marked the end of an Abbott story. It may have just opened the door to the biggest family revelation yet.